be the second game of the weekend series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Florida Marlins here at Great American Ballpark. The Reds with a victory last night, and with the Cubs beating St. Louis this afternoon, the Reds now in a position where a win tonight would put them back into a tie for first in the division with the Cardinals. Thanks for joining us here at Great American. Paul Keels and the Cowboy, Jeff Brandley, and Mike Leake will take the mound tonight. And boy, it certainly has been a season of different halves, if you want to look at it that way, Jeff, for Mike Leake.
It really has been, Paul. You look at how he's done early in the season when he was pitching on 5 days rest and really getting into the regular rotation scheme of things. 14 starts and an ERA, well, it was under 3. And you turn things around and let's take a look at how he did in the first part of the season. Breaking ball very sharp. The biggest key for him was keeping the ball down in the strike zone. The sinker was down. The breaking ball was down. He uses a changeup also to get hitters out in front to get the ground balls when he needs it. I mean, this guy hit the big leagues on fire. But you start giving him some days off, and they really almost had to so that he didn't get beyond the 200-inning mark before now. And with those extra days of rest, I think it absolutely killed him. It ruined his location. It kept him. He was not sharp at all. And now coming into tonight's ball game, he's had 5 days on 2 consecutive starts. So, Paul, I really believe this is going to be the turnaround night for Mike Leake.
And we take a look at how his innings have really been displayed, not only just for this year, but what he went through last year playing at Arizona State in the Arizona Fall League. That's kind of what you're talking about, Jeff, trying to monitor how much work he's logging.
Well, he has had about 6 innings a start each time out. If you add, he would get 10 starts at the most right now between now, tonight's ball game, and the end of the season. 6 innings, 60 innings, you can do the addition yourself. 185 innings right now, he would hit that right on the money.
How much does it affect that teams now have a book on him?
Well, I don't know that it really affects much because I believe this kid is awfully intelligent. I think he does better, and he showed us early that he does better the more he's faced teams because he makes the adjustment before they can. A sinker ball pitcher that's awfully smart. I compared him to Maddox early in the season, a young Maddox. I still believe he's that kind of pitcher, but you've got to give him regular rest so he can keep himself sharp. He's a location guy, not a power guy.
Well, certainly he's been a guy that seemingly has been unflappable when he's been on the mound. He's not been too high or too low. Sean West will be the starter for Florida tonight, a left-hander who hasn't logged that much time this year at the major league level.
Well, he hasn't. I think that's going to be an issue for the Reds early in the ball game. This kid, if he throws strikes early in the game, then the Reds are going to have to make some adjustments the first round through. But what the Reds have proved, especially with young pitchers, once they've seen that pitcher the first time through the lineup, it's awfully fun watching them the second go-around.
And we saw him last night with Josh Johnson, a guy coming in the caliber of the pitchers they faced in the 3 games before. Very patient and got his pitch count up.
Well, and I think they did that on purpose. You go down and you're talking to some of the guys, at least I was before the ball game, and that was their game plan. Don't try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Don't even try to hit the ball to the fence. Hit the ball up the middle, flip the ball over the second baseman or the shortstop's head. You know, you look at this club and you think, boy, they can hit the ball a long way, and then you say, well, that was the approach they had. Well, it was an awfully good approach against an awfully good pitcher.
Yes, it was. So that's kind of the scoop on the 2 pitchers tonight. Sean West for Florida, Mike Leake for the Reds. The start of the game is going to be delayed a little bit because of the rain that came through the area in the late afternoon hours. About 7:25 is when everything will get started tonight with the Reds and the Marlins. And when we continue, Jeff Pecora with more information for us. The Reds looking for a win tonight that would get them back into a tie for first in the division with the Cardinals as they play Game 2 against the Marlins.
to our Spotlight Series. It is the 20th anniversary of the championship season of the 1990 Cincinnati Reds. You're going to enjoy watching and listening to some of the great players on that team as they reminisce about that wonderful championship season from 20 years ago.
The year was 1990. What started as a new decade of peace and prosperity in the United States became tainted by a dictator's lust for power and conquest. The U.S. would be propelled into the Middle East and on the front lines of a violent conflict. The first President Bush was in the middle of a first and only term as president, and his son, George W., was struggling with his own problems as owner of the Texas Rangers, having no idea that he'd be sitting in his father's chair someday and facing the same foe. But 1990 wasn't a complete disaster. The country's economy was starting to perk up from a letdown toward the end of the 80s. When the music finally ended following the Me decade, a family from Springfield, state yet to be named, was overtaking the airwaves.
Ay, caramba!
Led by a fiendish yet lovable little boy named Bart. And a young stand-up comedian was making his debut on an offbeat comedy series and quickly becoming a household name.
Well, let's start the insanity.
Now, somewhere in between Tinseltown, the Lone Star State, and the Beltway, 1990
State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks, 33 straight years. By Just for Men, for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Tonight's Reds broadcast on Fox Sports Ohio is presented in beautiful high definition, courtesy of H.H. Gregg. Well, the rain came through, is holding things up a little bit. It's still been hot and steamy. Time to get updated on our weather for this evening. Here's Jeff Creighton.
Another hot and humid night down at Great American Ballpark, but the Reds seem to like it. 90 at that first pitch, 86 by the 7th inning, still in the mid-80s by that time, that final out. Stay cool, stay hydrated.
Time to look at some of the production from another position area in left field, Jeff, between Johnny Gomes and Lance Nix. They have really been contributing.
Well, you look so much at what has been done behind home plate with Hannigan and Hernandez, but don't forget, this has been a lefty-righty combo out in left field, and you see the numbers right there. You only trail two other guys that are all-stars with the combo that you have in left field. Those numbers don't just happen by accident. They happen because of the way that they've been shuffled, the way that they've been put in the proper positions. And Lance Nix, he's carrying his weight. When Johnny Gomes isn't hot, Lance is, and vice versa.
Lance Nix with a pretty productive night last night against the Florida Marlins. We'll tell you about that as the night rolls on. Johnny Gomes just a few moments ago out here on the field, presented with the Heart and Hustle Award by the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association. Tommy Helms, a former Reds coach, interim manager, and second baseman there to make the presentation to Johnny Gomes, who always plays with lots of heart and lots of hustle.
It's pretty amazing to get an award of that magnitude from guys that have played the game for years and years, the Baseball Alumni Association. And I would say that Johnny has a pretty good chance on the end run to pull the grand prize award at the end of the season.
Yes, there is an award winner for each major league team, and then one winner throughout the whole group of award winners will be selected. Johnny was mentioning down in the clubhouse before the game, this is the second time that he's been a team recipient. While he was at Tampa Bay, he was given a similar honor. And Johnny Gomes will be in left field tonight in the starting lineup. We'll tell you more about that. Chris Spire, for the second straight night, will be the acting manager of the ball club as Dusty Baker serves the second and final game of his two-game suspension. But, this certainly speaks to not only what Chris Spire has been able to do, but the familiarity of that entire coaching staff.
Well, you have to believe that Dusty is chomping at the bit to get back down there on the field of play. But it's awful nice to know that you've got a guy that's down there that can handle the way that you set things up and go through proper situations before the game ever gets here. And Spire and Dusty have been together for a long, long time, all the way back to their San Francisco Giant days.
Well, Dusty Baker before the game, as he does every day, meeting with some of the media folks. And you can tell just when he talks about having to be up in Walt Jocketty's box again that it is not where he wants to be. And it just eats and eats and eats at him not to be in his normal position.
I think he likes it with the uniform on.
Well, the Reds are taking the field, and time now to take a look at the Cincinnati Bell, Florida Marlins lineup for Edwin Rodriguez. Mike Stanton down there in the lower portion. A big night with a couple of long ones last night. Anna, you see the month of August that Dan Uggla is having.
Well, the expectation coming into last night's ball game was the hot-hitting Uggla hitting the ball out of the ballpark with extreme regularity, and Mike Stanton was the guy that yanked one out of left field, and then later on in the ball game hit one out of right field.
So there's how they line up. Of course, Mike Leake will be on the hill.
Second consecutive start where he's been given 5 days. He's on a regular turn right now, and everything, every number and everything that's been said by Mike and even some of his teammates point to the fact that when he is on regular rotation, on regular turn, that's when he pitches his best. He's a control pitcher, not a power pitcher. And I think right now this is going to be a game that we're going to see the Mike Leake that we saw for the first 14 starts of the regular season.
Victimized by that 7-run fourth inning for St. Louis and the loss to the Cardinals on Monday. The forward defensive look at how the Cincinnati Reds are set up tonight. We mentioned Johnny Gomes in left. Chris Heise gets the start in right field. And around the infield, the usual. And Ramon Hernandez will once again be behind the plate for Mike Leake.
Infield exactly the same. Outfield totally different.
Well, following the 7-2 win for the Reds over the Marlins last night, they'll try for a victory tonight that would move them into a tie for first in the National League Central, with St. Louis losing this afternoon at home to the Chicago Cubs. Hanley Ramirez will start it off tonight for the Marlins. All-star shortstop. Ramirez last night 1 for 5 and a strikeout victim. If you're just catching up with us, things starting just a little bit later than normal because of the afternoon rain that came through here to the Cincinnati area. Count now 1-1 to Hanley Ramirez. 75 degrees the game time temperature, Cowboy.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was a sauna again around the tri-state area here all day. Mike Leake to Ramirez, who punches a base hit into left field. So the Marlins start the night off with a base hit. This is the first time any of these Florida batters will have seen Mike Leake.
Ball starts in the middle of the plate, and instead of sinking down, the ball runs flat inside. Ramirez doesn't hit it great, but he hits it just well enough to get it over the shortstop's head.
So there's Hanley Ramirez over at first base. Logan Morrison, the left fielder, will take his turn now for the Marlins. Morrison, a strikeout victim, a walk, and 1 for 4 last night against Edinson Volquez and the combined Reds relievers.
He took a strike. He took until he got a strike every at bat last night. So I would assume that that's the way he's going to approach the plate.
And he looks at ball 1 coming inside. That inning that chased Mike Leake on Monday against the Cardinals, a 7-run fourth. St. Louis reached Leake for 6 consecutive base hits to start the inning. Bouncer where Phillips maybe has a chance for 2. No, he'll go to first and get the out of Morrison while Ramirez moves on to second.
Well, Leake gets the ground ball, and because of the speed of Hanley Ramirez, Phillips is not able to turn and flip the ball to Giannis at second base. It was a high hopper into the hole over there on the first base side. We talked about it before the game starts. This is where you're going to get a lot of ground balls out of Leake. And when you have a chance to turn a double play, you got to make it.
Gabby Sanchez, the one-out batter for the Marlins. 2 extra base hits last night, a double and a triple for the young first baseman. And Leake starts him with a strike. Mike Leake trying to reverse a trend that he has seen him have 3 consecutive losing decisions.
And it's amazing to even think of that, is because of the way that he started out the season.
Yeah, he had never had back-to-back losing decisions. Florida last night in this position, runners in scoring position, 0 for 8. Their 2 runs came on 2 solo home runs from Mike Stanton. Mike Leake's last winning decision came on the 20th of July against Washington. After that, losses to Houston, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. Got his 2-1 to the Florida first baseman, now 3-1. Of course, we do need to remind ourselves that young Mike Leake, this is the longest that he has ever pitched in a baseball season. From college and even further back than that. Count is 3-1. And on to first base will go Gabby Sanchez with a walk.
Leake is keeping the ball down in the strike zone, but as you see that pitch there, he really pulled that ball to the outside part of the plate. That was supposed to be a sinker that runs back to the corner, and instead of running back to the corner, the ball just stays straight outside.
It's a 2-on for Dan Uggla. Last night 1 for 4 and twice a strikeout victim.
You sure don't want to make a mistake to this guy. Sometimes with Uggla at the plate, slower is better.
His 26 home runs, tied for 3rd best in the National League. So Mike Leake in some early trouble with Ramirez at second and Sanchez at first. 1 out at the top of the 1st.
And the thing about it for Leake, it's not as though he has never been in this kind of situation. He has comparisons to college, but mentally the situations are the same.
A check and a strike. So says DJ Rayburn, the first base umpire.
You could really see Uggla coming out of his shoes right there.
Yes, you
on
could.
That fastball. I'm surprised the bat didn't snap as he tried to hold up.
Count is 1-1. Now it's 1-2.
That is a big time changeup from Mike Leake. If he can harness that pitch for the duration of the night, it will be awfully good for the young right-hander.
Got him swinging. Strikeout number 1 for Mike Leake as Uggla goes down.
That's what makes that changeup so valuable, because the speed of the changeup and the speed of that breaking ball are very similar. You throw the changeup for a strike, here comes the breaking ball. It looks like the changeup, and then it takes a left turn, and you're caught swinging with the bat in your hand and no contact.
Up now, Cody Ross. 0 for 4 last night. And this should end the inning. Chris Heisey will play this in right field, and the Marlins leave 2 stranded. No score after a half inning.
Last year and started the season this year in AAA New Orleans. Threw the ball pretty well for the Zephyrs in New Orleans, but the last time he had 10 days off, as he has in this start, he didn't get out of the 4th inning.
And the reason he's had that long a period of time, he was the scheduled starter for the game that Florida had at home on Sunday with St. Louis that was rained out. It was started but never completed. I don't think they got into the second inning of that game. And Brandon Phillips looks at one that comes in tight, and he's down 0-2 to Sean West. Phillips last night 2 for 5 with a strikeout and a couple of runs scored. Sean West began the year on a minor league disabled list with a lower back strain. Bounced right at Ugly. 1 gone. For defense for the Florida Marlins of Edwin Rodriguez. And they have exactly the same lineup in their 8 defensive spots that they had last night. Saved the pitcher.
Well, they didn't have any errors in last night's game, but they sure did not field a whole lot of balls very clean. There's a couple time balls were hit to Helms at third base that bounced off of his chest that could have been double play balls. Same thing with Ramirez at shortstop.
Chris Izey getting the start in right field tonight. This is his 24th start of the year and his 7th at that position.
Like to watch this guy play.
We talked last night about his great pinch hitting work. 4 pinch hit home runs, the most in the majors this year. But he was, prior to this current week, getting a little more time than he had, especially out in center field when Drew Stubbs had been struggling just a bit.
He basically just forced himself into the lineup. I mean, when you do that well as he's done out of the pinch hitting job, you can only imagine what he would do if he could start.
Count is now 2-2 on Chris Izey, who will be followed by Joey Votto. Izey came into the game last night in the 8th inning, and as a pinch hitter, he popped up to center field. 1 out, bottom of the first, and no score. Florida got a couple of runners on in their portion of the first inning and left them both stranded.
You can already see the Reds working the pitcher early in the ball game,
like they did last night with Josh Johnson. Sean West preparing for the 2-2 pitch to Chris Izey.
The types of at-bats that you see Izey having here, not only do they affect the pitcher from a physical standpoint by having to throw more pitches, but they also affect a pitcher from a confidence and a mental standpoint, because you, as a pitcher, you're throwing these pitches and they keep fouling them off, and you're thinking, am I just not that good?
Makes it low. I understand why you question yourself that sometimes.
You make a good pitch and they foul it off, and you think, what have I got to do to get this guy out?
Count is full to Chris Izey. Hanley Ramirez with an opportunity, and 2 are gone. Correct myself, it is not the same defensive 8 for Florida. They do have Brett Hayes catching instead of Ronnie Paulino. So a 2-out, Joey Votto will climb in. 2 for 5 last night, a couple of RBIs.
Nice little hand for Joey Votto as he stands in.
You see that .320 batting average, second best in the National League at the start of the day.
Anytime you talk about a player and Triple Crown in the same sentence.
And a base hit to keep you talking about that.
It's a heck of a compliment when you use Triple Crown and the guy's name in the same sentence. That's awfully good. Votto staying behind the baseball. Fastball inside. Boy, he really gets those hands through the strike zone. We saw that a couple of times in last night's game where fastballs that were high velocity from Josh Johnson, and he was able to really get his hands and hips through the ball and pull the ball to the right side.
He trails Carlos Gonzalez in the batting race right now. 2 out and a runner on for Scott Rowland. And he looks at a first pitch strike. 3 base hits, 2 RBIs for the Reds' third baseman last night. After, like a lot of his other teammates, a tough series offensively against St. Louis.
His first 3 times to the plate, he went to a full count before getting a hit.
2 of those 3 base hits were doubles for Scott Rowland.
Right down the left field line and making Logan Morrison get on his horse.
And he scored the first run of the game on a very, very heads-up slide around Ronnie Paulino at the plate. Well, the Cubs did the Reds a favor, beating the Cardinals in St. Louis this afternoon. So 3-2 the final as Carlos Zambrano got his 4th win of the year.
Zambrano pitched awfully well in today's game.
Cubs tried to give it away there in the ninth.
Yeah, they did.
But what that does now is means the Reds with a victory can move into a tie with the Cardinals for the National League Central Division lead. Nolan gets a piece of that one, count remaining 1-2.
That's the one thing that I just did not understand is after the 3-game series against the Cardinals, it seemed like everybody was saying, well, the Reds are going to fade, they're going to fall apart. I truly believe that series and the way that everything was handled may have been the best thing for this Cincinnati Reds club.
And you say that because?
I think in a sense, number one, they realized that they've got to do things different in order to beat the better clubs, the best clubs. Number two, I think that now it's out there, okay? It's us and the Cardinals. No more secrets. It's time to get it on. We've got 40-something ball games left. Let's play them like there's no tomorrow. And that seems to be the attitude when you walk down into that clubhouse. There's no jealousies. There's nobody talking about, well, why is somebody playing center field and not me? Why am I not in the ball game? Or why is this guy playing? And I mean, nobody's talking about it. They're only talking about what they can do to help the team win.
John West 1-2 to Scott Rowland, and Rowland continues fighting out pitches.
And I think a lot of that goes back to veteran leadership, especially from the guy that's standing at home plate and the guy that's playing in left field for the Reds today, and Johnny Gomes, and the guy at first base. And I think it also goes back to a guy like Arthur Rhodes. There will be no bickering on this club. We're going to play, and we're going to go down fighting if we do go down.
And add Jim Edmonds into all of that.
There you go.
Still 1-2 to Scott Rowland. And West gets him with a swinging strike to end the inning. Runner left stranded. No score after 1 full between the Reds and the Marlins. This one out. Combined homers per game in a series. You look at what the Reds and the Marlins have done against one another. About 3 per game, which was how it shook out last night. Jay Bruce going deep once and Mike Stanton going deep twice for the Fish.
We also saw that Phillies Reds. I think a lot of that has to do with the ballparks they play in.
Yes.
Probably the same thing true with these two.
Here's Here's a look at the 3 long balls last night. Jay Bruce, who hadn't homered in a long while, touches one up. And Stanton hit them both to right and left field. And Mike Stanton leading off this inning as he plunks a single into center field for Florida. And there's second base hit of the night.
That last hit by Stanton was a breaking ball middle way that he hit out of the ballpark the other way. And that's just sheer strength and bat speed and being able to stay behind the baseball and still get some phenomenal extension at the end. I mean, this guy really takes a short and quick swing, rips that baby right back up the middle, and still able to drive the ball out of the ballpark when he has to.
So we're standing on at first. Wes Helms, the batter. A couple of base hits, Wes Helms, as well as a third trip to the base paths after being hit by a pitch. No scores. We work in the top of the second, excuse me, here at Great American Ballpark. Mike Leake and Sean West, the pitchers. Wes Helms goes foul as he's trying to work it the other way.
Mike Leake has one thing on his mind: ground ball double play. Especially when the first batter gets aboard and you got a right-hander coming up next, which is going to happen a lot tonight, because they're loaded with right-handers in this Marlins lineup.
Leake ahead in the count. Helms has been around. He first appeared in the major leagues in 1998 with Atlanta. He was in the Braves system through 2002, then with Milwaukee. An earlier stint with Florida in 2006. The following year in Philadelphia, and back with the Marlins since 2008. Florida's trade of Jorge Cantu to Texas has opened the door for Helms to really kind of take over at third base.
Well, he was a pinch hitter for the most part. And after Jorge Cantu gets traded, well,
almost over there first. Yeah,
gotta have a third baseman. And Helms has been that spotter over at first base for him the majority of his career.
Last year tied with Seth Smith for the second most pinch hits in the majors with 17, right behind the 21 that were delivered by Ross Globe. This for Helms, who finds himself behind in a 1-2 count.
That pitch there for Mike Leake, the more he uses that, the more effective it's going to make his sinking fastball and changeup, and that's that hard breaking ball.
Stanton a brief lead at first. Count now even on Wes Helms. I mentioned it last night, and with the award presentation made to Johnny Gomes by Tommy Helms, Wes is Tommy's nephew from North Carolina. Count is now 2-2. Now it's full. For Mike Leake, this is his 22nd start of the year. His first ever appearance against the Florida Marlins. 129 2/3 innings of work coming into the night. Ed Hayes, the catcher, is on deck. Leake getting ready for the payoff pitch to the Florida third baseman.
Well, he doesn't hit right-handers well the majority of the time, speaking of Wes Helms. That doesn't mean that he won't battle.
And Leake trying to battle him here with a full count and nobody out. On the move, Stanton. This one is grounded in the hole. Paul Janisch only has one play. It will be at first, and Helms taken off on a close play.
Well, that gives Janisch a chance to show off his arm, doesn't it? Wow.
Yes, it does.
Ground ball. Looks like a base hit for a moment until Janisch gloves it, stops, and throws a rocket all the way to first base. It's a heck of a play.
He had a ways to go to get it. So one out, and Stanton advances on to second base. Paul Janisch is logging all the time at shortstop now with Orlando Cabrera still out. Yankees. Swinging at the first pitch. Shallow center. Coming on. Stubbs. Got it. And not too terribly off from doubling off Stanton.
I'm not sure what Stanton was thinking there at the last second. You know, you move off the bag a little bit because you think the ball's going to drop, but as you see Stubbs getting closer and closer to the baseball, you got to get back to second base. I mean, it's not like you're in a force here.
Another reason why the Reds coaches like having Drew Stubbs out in center field.
Man, he can cover some territory.
And did. Sean West, the Florida pitcher, 0 for 1 this season. In his career, he is 2 for 32.
You see this big pad on his left arm there. The reason that's there is the left arm and is his moneymaker.
Rounded back past the mound. Giannis will have to hurry. Gets it. Marlins again leave a runner stranded. After an inning and a half. No score. Reds and Marlins. Left or center field during tonight's game. Karen Ellis Hunnicky of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. One of these days, somebody's going to get it. One of these days.
Somebody's going to blast it out there.
No score, Reds and Marlins, as we move to the bottom of the second. And why not Johnny Gomes, who comes up in his first at-bat?
You're right. Maybe career home run number 100 will bank off that sign out there.
He has been holding at 99 home runs since the 19th of July. So Johnny Gomes, 1 for 8 on the homestand. Facing Sean West. This one grounded up the middle of the diamond. Ramirez, nice pickup. Got him.
He just did get him. Gomes hustling all the way. That's why he has that award in his hand of the heart and hustle.
And that's why Hanley Ramirez is an all-star.
And Ramirez just did get to that baseball. You can see him field it behind him. He bobbled it for a second, but that throw there, and you're exactly right, Paul. That throw there, the off-balance throw, and being able to stay with it is the reason that cat's an all-star. He hits the ball pretty good, too. Boy, that's close.
That's very close. Drew Stubbs, the one-out batter. Wes Helms on a short hop. And quickly 2 gone. 2 pitches, 2 outs for Sean West. Hernandez will step in. Ramon had a hitting streak snap last night. He was 0 for 4. But when you look at what he has done, he has hit safely in 3 of the last 4 games. And in those 3 games in which he's done so, they've all been multi-hit games.
And you can see this is the veteran presence that you have on the ball club. He knows that the first 2 pitches were ground outs, and he's taking a whole lot of time to give his pitcher a chance to get recovery in the dugout right now.
And he looks at a strike from Sean West. West standing out there on the mound, much like Josh Johnson last night, 6 feet 8 inches tall. This rotation could play some pretty good pickup basketball. And tight on Hernandez.
That is very similar to the pitches that you have to select from, even as you hit off of Logan Andrusic.
Strike to Hernandez.
This goes back to what we were describing with Andrusic last night. When you're that tall and you're throwing downhill with that kind of incline coming off the mound, you add that height to it as well. The ball really is a strike at the front part of the plate and a ball at the back part. So by the time you get ready to hit the baseball, the ball is actually lower than what you've seen it to begin with.
Well, now Sean West has thrown more pitches to Hernandez than he did to the first 2 batters combined. And Ramon shoots this one to right field. In position is Stanton to gather it for the 3rd out. Down in order go the Reds after 2 full, no score. That's from pitching coach Brian Price regarding Homer Bailey, who will be the starter for the Reds tomorrow. There's Brian Price and talking about the rehab work that he did down at AAA, working through those shoulder problems, Jeff.
Well, the biggest thing for Homer Bailey is getting back to consistent mechanics. Consistent mechanics leads to throwing strikes.
And Ramirez rounds out to Brandon Phillips for the first out of the inning.
In quality strikes, and this is the number that you look at with Bailey. Only 6 walks in those 23 innings. And I think that really tells you about this number here with the 3.13 earned run average. When Bailey's throwing strikes, quality strikes, not just pitches right down the middle, moving the ball on both sides of the plate, that's when he's at his best, as we saw him at the end of last year.
Logan Morrison is the one-out batter for the Florida Marlins. Morrison, the fielder's choice in his first at-bat. Homer Bailey with his 1-2 record will be opposed by right-hander Anibal Sanchez, who is 8-7 for the Marlins, tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. The Reds will have to make a roster move before the game. Of course, operating a man short due to the suspension of Johnny Cueto, which is his ding number 2. Brandon Phillips with another chance, and he will throw out Logan Morrison for the second out of the inning. And a reminder to visit the Reds Hall of Fame during weekends in August and pick up a free collectible gift as part of this year's 1990 team celebration. The first 4,500 full-paying weekend guests this month will receive a Marge Schott bobblehead. This exclusive bobblehead features the former Reds owner, her dog Shotzi, and the 1990 World Series trophy. To learn more, call 513-765-7923 or visit redsmuseum.org. Gabby Sanchez, the 2-out batter. He's received the 1 walk issued by Mike Leake.
Rookie has 28 doubles on the year. It is some awfully solid contact.
He had 1 of them last night, as well as a triple. Reaches for that one. So the count is now 1-2.
And that's really that's the pitch that he wants. He wants a pitch out over the plate that he can drive into right center field. That's where the majority of his base hits have come.
Well, that rain that blew through here late this afternoon, early this evening, has cooled things down rather nicely here at Great American Ballpark.
Well, it's not quite as stifling as it was last night. You tend to not have as much problem breathing when it's in the 70s.
Yes. Seems like forever since it's been in the 70s. The game time temperature at the first pitch was 75 degrees. It's really the whole week, the 3 games with St. Louis, and last night, smoking. Count is 2-2 to Gabby Sanchez, the Florida first baseman. Today, Cowboy, is the 28th day of this year in which a heat emergency has been declared in Cincinnati. Last year, there were 4 days. Payoff pitch, ball 4.
I tell you what, that 2-2 pitch was right there for Mike Leake. And did not get the call.
So the second walk, both of them, to Sanchez. And that brings Dan Ugla up. I mentioned last night he has become the all-time home run leader in the history of the Florida Marlin franchise with 147 of them. And he's just been on a tear lately in the last few years, but he is the only player in Major League history whose primary position has been second base to be the franchise leader in home runs.
When you talk about throwing the bat head at the baseball, a lot of hitting teachers will tell you that. Take that bat head and throw it at the baseball. That's what this guy does. He really lets it fly when it's time to come through the zone.
Missing on that one. Now, in regard to home runs, as second baseman through the history of baseball, and there you get a look at where he stands in the history of this franchise. Some pretty good ones in Lowell, Cabrera, and Lee and Sheffield there. And look at where Hanley is sneaking up on him. He is, however, behind some of the people as far as people whose careers are finished, but guys that have played at some other spots. Craig Biggio, 291 with Houston, but of course he caught for a little while. Played some in the outfield, and another walk, the second in a row. So Mike Leake creating his own problems here.
And it looks to me that Leake is having a little bit of trouble with release point right now. Dropping his elbow on a couple of pitches. And I think he got frustrated on the pitch there to Gabby Sanchez that wasn't called a strike. And then he tried to make too perfect of pitches to Danny Ugla. It's a perfect time for Brian Price to be out on the mound. You got Cody Ross at the plate, who swung at the first pitch his last time up and flied out to Heisey in right field. 2 outs here. You just got to make one pitch and get out of the inning.
I mentioned last night that Cody Ross was a former Red. He was for 2 whole games as you look at the division of balls and strikes there for Mike Leake. And you and I talked last night. I thought he had played in a few more than 2 games. Cody Ross just a couple of games in 2006 with the Reds after coming over from the Dodgers and before going to Florida. Boy, has he found a home in Miami.
Yes, he has. And he has done awfully well against the Reds in his time in Florida. He has had some big hits against the Reds over the last few years.
And looking for one here while Mike Leake is looking for a big out. With 2 outs in the top of the 3rd and the game scoreless. Fair. Oh, foul ball. Thought he was going to start to signal fair down there. Chris Cuccione for a moment. He's working third base. At second, Mike Winters. DJ Rayburn at first, and Phil Cuzzy behind the plate.
Well, that baby was hit awfully hard, and he makes the right call.
You see why we thought he might be ready to call that a fair ball. The way Chris's arm started to go out.
That's what makes the umpire's job so difficult. I mean, that was a hair foul. And, I mean, it's coming at him probably 100 and something miles an hour. You don't get time to go look at the replay on that.
No, not on that. 1-1 with a couple on. Now 2-1. Cody Ross back in April, a 4 RBI game against the Reds in that series down at Sun Life Stadium, where these teams split a series of 4. He chased one there that might have been ball 3.
I knew it was time for him to break out one of those breaking balls. He hasn't thrown it to either of the first 2 hitters. You can see him really get through this pitch.
Might be. It certainly would have been.
The right-hander Ross is looking fastball, so as soon as the ball comes out of his hands, he's coming out of his shoes. Now you got to put him away.
2-2 the count. Now it's full. Tried to get him to chase like he did on the previous pitch.
He did. And you can see Leake a little bit in that same rut that he got in the situation against the guys in his last start, getting too quick coming to home plate. Instead of getting some time, he's getting a little bit too fast, not getting his arm up.
Got the strikeout. Marlins again leaving runners stranded after 2.5. No score. Right now, you can chat with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. Plus, get the latest from the Bengals and the Bearcats camps on FoxSportsOhio.com. Presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. Good look at Northern Kentucky. As you look through the gap there in the ballpark over the right field section. No score, Reds and Marlins, as we move to the bottom of the third inning. Paul Yanish will lead it off, followed by Mike Leake and Brandon Phillips. Paul Yanish last night on base a couple of times with walks. 0 for 2 in his official at-bats. And knock on wood for Micah, whatever you got, but Paul Yanish has been getting all the time out there at shortstop since Orlando Cabrera's injury. And he yanks this one foul. That would be an interesting quandary. You hope it doesn't come out, but what would the Reds do if for some reason they had to put somebody else at shortstop? Brandon Phillips, maybe?
I believe they may go to Zach Kozar down in AAA.
No, I mean on the active roster right now.
Oh, well,
let's hope we don't have to worry about it. Fair ball for Paul Yanish as he'll hit first, head to second. Comes up with a double. Paul Yanish. Well, if he keeps hitting like that, not even something to think about.
Tries to rush the fastball in. He doesn't quite get it in there enough. Yanish jerks it right past Wes Helms. Helms has never been known for the defensive side of the ball, even though he gives every effort he's got. But that ball just stays right on the line and heads all the way down to the corner.
And you see the total of doubles for Paul Yanish on the season. And up steps now the second best hitting pitcher in the National League, technically. And Mike Leake, who has 5 sacrifice bunts, looking to put one down. We say technically because Mike Leake, with his average right now, 349. He is right behind Dan Herron, who is at 352. However, remember, Dan Herron no longer is in the National League, so his average will stay the same. Gets it down. Mike Leake. Yanish will move on to third as Sean West can't handle it, and Leake will be on at first base.
I don't think you could have rolled that out there with your hand any better than what Mike Leake did there. You bunt it to the third base side to either make the pitcher have to hurry and go get it or vacate third base by the third baseman. Helms sees that the ball is not bunted hard. And boy, he got turned too quick, did Sean West on that ball. He already had his body turned. He basically fielded that ball backwards, and that's why the ball came out of his glove. You got to catch the ball first, young man.
So scored as a sacrifice and an error on Sean West. Brandon Phillips up with runners on the corners and nobody out. Foul ball. Almost exactly where Yanish stroked his. Brandon Phillips grounded out to Dan Ubla in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, West has thrown the ball inside a lot to these right-handers going through the first time in the lineup, and we'll see if the Reds make an adjustment here the second go round.
Gotcha. We know what you mean.
Second time they go through.
Gotcha. The 1 pitch, Phillips. Now 1-1.
Big tall left-hander trying to cut those fastballs in on the righties and then fade that change away or blister the fastball on the outside corner.
Oh.
Boy, where was that call on Gabby Sanchez for legal while ago? And that ball was higher than that. And that ball's even up on the Fox tracks. That's rough right there.
And the benefit of technology. Yanish at third after a double, sacrificed to third, and the sacrifice bunt by Mike Leake, but the error has Leake on at first base. Big rip and a miss by Brandon Phillips.
I think Phillips thought he had that one lifted out of the ballpark, and he just swings right through a slow curveball, had him out in front.
Second strikeout of the night for Sean West. And the first out of the inning.
Takes a lot off that one. It was in the strike zone, and Phillips sees a pitch that his eyes light up. Just got under it just a bit.
So Chris Heisey will be the one-out batter. He's driven in 13 on the year. Bounced out to Hanley Ramirez in his first at-bat.
Just about every pitch from Sean West, as far as the first pitch, is either a fastball in or a cut fastball in. Then he goes immediately away.
And went away there. Another good crowd here tonight, Cowboy.
As a player, you can't beat this. May not be totally sold out, but there are a lot of people in this ballpark tonight. It's close to a sellout. And for the Reds, as a player, you see this many people in the ballpark, that is awfully fun to play.
Heisey down on strikes. Retired on 3 pitches in a row from Sean West.
Well, both Phillips and Heisey trying to do a little bit too much there with a runner at third base. Instead of just being patient and waiting for the pitch to come to them. And you can see Heisey swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone, just trying to lift it in the air to right field.
With 2 outs, it's Joey Votto. He has one of the 2 Reds base hits on the night. He comes up empty.
Votto got a fastball first time up, and he smokes it into center field. And that ball appeared to be a fastball in until the final seconds when it took a left turn.
Yes. Paul Janisch at third. Mike Leake at first. Checked by Joey Votto. His base hit in the first now has extended his hitting streak, Joey Votto's, to 6 games in a row. Best scoring threat the Reds have had of the night. Called strike on the inside. And Florida has had their opportunities. They've left 5 runners stranded through the first 3. In this situation, there are the numbers and the results for Joey Votto. Had a chance to try and add to that here as he looks at a 1-2 pitch and bends away for ball 2.
Well, every pitch so far from the left-hander West in this at-bat to Votto has been that same breaking ball right at 83 miles an hour. Will he do it again?
Yep. All 3 of the outs coming on strikeouts. The Reds leave a couple of stranded. No score after 3 full. Where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By JTM, food, family, fun, JTM. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Reds and Marlins are scoreless as we move to the top of the fourth inning here at Great American Ballpark. And follow the Reds on your iPhone, iPod Touch, BlackBerry, and Android phone with MLB.com's At Bat 2010, featuring play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcast. Don't miss a moment in 2010. Visit Reds.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase. Florida starts the fourth inning in this scoreless game with Mike Stanton at the plate against Mike Leake. And we want to take this opportunity to send out some very, very special get well and recovery wishes. Here's a look at Mike Stanton, 1 for 1 on the night. And we found out earlier this afternoon down in the clubhouse that our good friend and our colleague, Tom Brenneman, unfortunately yesterday suffered a broken leg. This one grounded right at Scott Rowland. At third base, he throws Mike Stanton out for the first out of the inning. Tom is in the San Diego area with his family on vacation and broke his leg waveboarding. So I don't know the course of all of it as Tom's hooked up where he can tune us in tonight on all of the technical gizmos and all that, but best wishes for a recovery. And you know that's going to create a little bit of obstacle, but that's not going to stop Tom from being back in this chair in a couple of weeks.
I hear you. I think he's going to be fine. His dad says everything is okay. Just not going to be fun with that boot.
No. Wes Helms, 0 for 1 with a ground out to shortstop. Helms will be followed by Brett Hayes, the catcher. We talked about how Helms over recent years has been one of the top pinch hitters in all of baseball. You know, that's got to be a challenge for some of those guys. You go to those, off and on base hit appearances or at bats, and then all of a sudden you're thrown in there to where you got to try and do it every day, all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't easy either way. I can tell you that. Hitting is tough.
You call for the appeal? No, sir, says DJ Rayburn.
That's when you hear some of those guys that have been pinch hitting all of their life and been successful at it, and all of a sudden they're playing every day and their averages are suffering, and they say, hey, bench me or trade me.
Helms grounds this foul. Chico Ruiz, back in the 60s here in Cincinnati, who was a backup to Leo Cardenas at shortstop for a long time. There was a point where it looked like Ruiz maybe was going to play a little more than he had. And the legend goes, and it may be urban legend, but he threw a fit, said, no, bench me or trade me.
Don't like that.
1-2, the count to Wes Helms from Mike Leake. Paul Yanish will gobble it up. And 2 are gone on a couple of ground balls. Time now for our AT&T trivia question. And tonight, submitted for your consideration, who is the Reds' all-time leader in home runs as a third baseman? Now, I have a question to go with that question. As a third because Mark Wagner, you know where I was going. Where do you consider Tony Perez in all of that? Tony started as a first baseman, moved to third when Lee May came around, and then went back to first. As a third baseman. That one is driven down the line by Brett Hayes into left field. That'll be a 2-base hit for the Florida catcher with 2 outs.
Well, Leake had a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning, and he hangs a breaking ball to the catcher. And this one is just a cement mixer. You can see that one just back up. And Brett Hayes right on the money.
That'll bring the pitcher Sean West up. Still mulling with that question. All-time home runs, third baseman as a Red. West
bounced out to shortstop in his first at bat. That may predate some of our following of the Reds back into the middle 60s.
Don't look over here for any help. I can tell you right now, I ain't got an idea.
Pete Rose, third base might have been the position least played by Pete Rose during his long career with the Reds. Count is 0-2 to Sean West. We got a little cheap look at it.
Is it somebody you would know?
Yes. Somebody whose name we already mentioned. 1-2, and Leake gets a strikeout of Sean West. No score after 3.5 here at Great American. Sunday and Monday nights at 7, Big Blue is on Fox Sports Ohio. Coach Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats head north of the border to take on some of the best Canadian universities. Don't miss your chance to catch the Cats in preseason hoops Sunday and Monday nights at 7 on Fox Sports Ohio. Some of the college teams are able to go do some of that every so often. Well, I think it's once every 4 years you can go outside of the country to do that. Ohio State did it last year. No score, Reds and Marlins in the bottom of the fourth here at Great American Ballpark.
Both young pitchers throwing awfully well here early.
Well, Sean West got out of a jam in the last inning after Paul Janisch had doubled and then Mike Leake reached on an error. He struck out Brandon Phillips, Chris Heisey, and Joey Votto to leave 2 Reds runners stranded.
And they were all breaking balls. A lot of breaking balls thrown by West there to get out of that inning. And I would imagine there's quite a few folks in that first base dugout that were watching all the breaking balls coming to the plate.
Scott Rowland, one of the 4 strikeout victims of Sean West on the night. Sean West out of Shreveport, Louisiana. One previous appearance against the Reds that came last year here at Great American Ballpark, a game that he lost, pitched only 4 innings, allowed 5 runs, and gave up 5 hits. Scott Rowland started the night 6th best in the National League with a .542 slugging percentage. Looks at a strike. We've heard Jeff Dusty Baker talk about, with veterans like Rowland and Cabrera, being mindful of their time out there and everything. Scott has played every game this week. You had an off day Thursday.
And he'll have an off day again on Monday, even though it's a flying day.
Takes the pitch.
Some pretty good pitches there in this at bat by West. Missed with a changeup up and away, and then came back with the second strike on a changeup down and in. Here's is that breaking ball.
Yes, it is. 2-2 the count. The Reds are here tomorrow afternoon with Florida. 1:10 start. We hope you will come down to the ballpark and catch the act. And then an off day on Monday and a long West Coast trip. Ball 3. Reds will go play 3 in Arizona Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. Move to Los Angeles for Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. And on to the city by the bay, San Francisco, for 3 more. Ball 4. First walk of the night given up by Sean West. Time now for the answer to our AT&T trivia question. And the question was, who is the Reds' all-time leader in home runs as a third baseman? And the first guess we threw out was the right one. Tony Perez, 140 home runs as a third baseman. Chris Sabo was right behind him with 103. Aaron Boone, 79. You see Edwin Encarnacion. Willie Green with 48. Buddy Bell had 43. Johnny Gomes at the plate. And Pete Rose had... I was surprised to see the number that Pete Rose had as a third baseman. 32.
You say Johnny Bench had some?
He had some. Pitches high. Johnny Bench, 25 home runs as a third baseman. Of course, Tony Perez, special assistant to the president with the Florida Marlins. He was a manager at one time at the Marlins ball club and one of the most endeared figures in the history of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, it looks like Sean West is getting away from his game plan that he had early.
Gomes takes it inside.
And he's lost his release point. He was going fastball, breaking ball, and then when Roland comes to the plate, he has changed and gone to fastball changeup, and that has not helped him much in his strike throwing ability.
Badly in need of a strike. And he doesn't get it. Back-to-back walks for the Florida pitcher. The first 2 and only 2 he has surrendered so far tonight.
They come in back-to-back fashion, and you never want to have that happen to lead off an inning.
Drew Stubbs will take his turn. Here's a former Reds pitcher, Randy St. Clair, the pitching coach for the Marlins. Randy St. Clair came to the Reds in a trade with Montreal that also brought Herm Winningham and Jeff Reed to the Reds in exchange for Tracy Jones and Pat Pizzillo.
Looked as though the infield came in talking around the mound expecting bunt here.
It sure did, didn't it?
Not sure that they're going to see a bunt. They may, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen right here.
Now they're pinched in at the corners, the Marlins are defensively. No sign of one as Stubbs has to jackknife away.
Well, the guy that's throwing as many balls as West is at this point, I think you go to a position where you just take it until he gives you a strike. I mean, he's not even close. He just flat out lost it. As good as he was to shut down the Reds in the bottom of the 3rd inning, he's just as bad here to start the 4th.
And he continues to be.
I mean, he is. Just goes to show you when you're as tall as this young man is at 6'7", trying to throw the ball downhill, that it also shows you how difficult it is when you make one little mistake out there on the mound from a release point situation.
And he finally comes up with a strike.
And it all goes back to mechanics, Paul. When you have perfect mechanics and you can repeat those mechanics over and over again, that's when you have good control 60 feet 6 inches away.
Well, he got Stubbs swinging there to run the count full now. Kind of like that repeatable golf swing they talk about that some of us have trouble finding.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Rowland at second base. Johnny Gomes at first. Each got there thanks to a walk. Ramon Hernandez on deck. And Drew Stubbs hits this one into right center field. Stanton is in position. As the catch, Scott Rowland will tag and move on to third base on the sacrifice fly by Drew Stubbs. First out of the inning.
Stubbs hit that ball a long way to right field. With the breeze coming in off the river, the ball was really not carrying much at all towards the moon deck out there in right field. That ball barely got to the edge of the warning track.
So once again, the Reds find themselves in a position to threaten the score. Here's a look at what Ramon has done on the night.
But in that situation, really, for Stubbs, he still did a good job by getting the runner from second to third. And now for Hernandez, as long as he can stay out of a double play, you got a chance to put a run on the board.
And Hernandez, base hit. That'll bring a run in. Rowland waltzes in. Gomes headed to third. Goes in safely. Johnny Gomes, RBI for Ramon Hernandez, and the Reds have a 1-0 lead.
Go, Johnny, go. How many times do you see a base runner go first to third on a bullet down the left field line? Not very often. This ball does not get to the corner. It actually comes right to the glove of Morrison, and he comes up firing, but Johnny Gomes has got his foot all the way to the floor of the gas pedal, and he makes it in there easily.
Well, that is the major league leading 13th time the Reds have had a base runner go from first to third on a hit. And with one out, the threat continues with Paul Giannis getting it down on the ground. A run in. Giannis is knocked off on the sacrifice, but the Reds ahead 2-0.
Boy, when you talk about suicide squeeze, that is a perfect time to do it. Nobody expecting it. Gomes all the way, did not break from third until the ball was put on the ground, and Giannis, what a great bunt. That ball almost hit him in the leg. He had to jump back out of the way and still bunt the ball at the same time. And when you're bunting in a squeeze bunt situation, all you want to do is get the ball down. The runner is coming on top of you. If you get it on the ground, you're going to be successful, and now the Reds lead 2-0.
And still with a runner out at second, it continues for Mike Leake.
Check out Giannis. Watch him go back this way. Oh, my goodness. That is and he got down a perfect bunt. Talk about hand-eye coordination. That's why he's such a great shortstop.
Sean West unable to get off the hook there as two hit come in for the Reds. Mike Leake in his first at-bat put down a sacrifice bunt, and then was able to reach first base on an error by the Florida pitcher. But he mishandled the ball. And Leake strokes it to left. Base hit for the Reds pitcher. Hernandez will round third and head home. And Cincinnati with a 3-0 lead as Mike Leake has his third RBI of the year.
We've seen it time and time again this year where the Reds, they start to edge that rally, and it starts to roll faster and faster and faster, and the next thing you know, they've put a big crooked number on the board, and that crooked number is 3 right now.
The 16th base hit of the year from Mike Leake.
Boy, what a benefit to have a good hitting pitcher at the plate. It may not be the equivalent of an American League lineup, but it sure is nice in this situation.
Brandon Phillips goes the other way, but right there Sanchez to gather and make the out. But the Reds plate 3, and after 4 complete, 3-0 Cincinnati. his first since June. Part of Cincinnati's 7-2 victory over Florida. Our Coors Light cold hard blast. Jay Bruce for the night off, out of the starting lineup. There's only been one game this year that he has not played at all, and we also want to remind you that aerial coverage and great shots like that one provided by DirecTV. Get every MLB game and the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Jay and I were talking about that home run before the ball game, and driving the ball up the middle and shooting the ball into that left center field gap really helps you stay on the breaking ball and the off-speed stuff, and tends to keep you from pulling off the ball and hitting on the top of the ball and hitting it on the ground or popping it up to the right, to the left side.
3 in the bottom of the 4th for the Reds to take a 3-0 lead over the Marlins. The 5th for Florida will start with their leadoff batter, Hanley Ramirez.
And this also lets Mike Leake go on the attack. You don't have to be so perfect, afraid of one pitch being a home run ball.
And Mike Leake, a big part of that 3-run 4th inning with an RBI single, driving in the last of the runs in the frame.
Well, the Reds over the last 2 nights, last night and then tonight, you could almost say they're playing a little bit of small ball against some tougher pitchers.
Called strike to Hanley Ramirez. Yes, they are.
And in this ballpark, a lot of times the Reds, they're going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And when you're facing a guy like Josh Johnson, sometimes you shorten up that swing, you start going up the middle and the other way. They did that last night.
Ramirez down on strikes.
And then here tonight, you got a tough kid in Sean West, who started out the ball game throwing the ball awfully well. And as soon as the Reds start making things happen there, they start putting some runs on the board, being patient. And this is what I'm talking about letting Leake start letting it loose. Relaxes a little bit and gets some firm break on that slider down and away from Ramirez.
It's his 4th strikeout of the night. Logan Morrison. He looks at a strike.
You give a starting pitcher a 3-run lead, and he should be pounding that strike zone.
And he came a little too far inside trying to pound that strike zone against the switch hitter Morrison.
The thing about it is you want to continue to throw strikes, and we saw that with Edinson Volquez last night. You don't want him to be right down the middle, but you can be a little bit more aggressive on the corners.
Count 2-1 now to Logan Morrison.
It's the biggest issue is you just don't have to be perfect.
Right. Started work at the inside and swings it a little too far to the outside. Mike Leake does.
Well, every once in a while he'll get going forward towards home plate a little bit too soon in his mechanics. That elbow drops a little bit and the ball will sail on him, or the ball will elevate.
There you go. Runs it full. Mike Leake, the 7th Reds player and the first since Bobby Henrich in 1957 to play in the major leagues without ever having appeared in the minor leagues. Bounces to Phillips on the backhand. Pirouettes and can't get the throw cleanly to Joey Votto. Reaching will be Logan Morrison.
Well, it looked like Brandon, because of the way that his knee stabbed into the ground, he had to turn the wrong way. But watch Leake here. When the knee comes straight up and he stays tall on the mound, he gets the ball up into that power position perfectly and gets the ball to home plate with that downward sink and gets the ground ball. And you can see what I was talking about there with Phillips having to turn towards the outfield side, and it really takes away from your throw. Watch Leake here as he brings the knee up, keeping himself nice and tall as he drops those legs. Nice and compact, as you can see where the ball is. Up and driving it straight down.
Gabby Sanchez to right field, where Heisey circles it and gathers it. for the second out of the inning.
There must be some wind up top that we don't realize, because that ball had a lot of slicing action towards the line as it came down. Chris Heisey had to make some late movement there. Looks like Heisey is camped here. Now watch this. Oh, hey. Let me get over here and get this.
Dan Ugla, a walk and a strikeout tonight. What a value Chris Heisey has been being able to play in all three outfield positions. And when he first came up, the thought was he probably was better equipped to play one of the corner outfield spots, but by and large, he's just
well
as steady
everywhere.
in center.
He's done very well wherever you put him. He's just a really good athlete.
As is Mike Leake, who sees the count go to 1-1.
And not only very athletic, but also very competitive. And I think the same goes with number 44 there as well. You saw him swing the bat, and he's just as competitive on the mound as he is at the plate.
And a story we've told a few times, but while he was at Arizona State, as well as Ike Davis at the Mets, there were times, depending on who was batting, when they wanted Ike Davis to come in and pitch to a left-hander, Mike Leake would go play first for an at-bat, and then they'd flip-flop. 2-1 the count to Dan Ugla. Reds with a 3-0 lead over the Marlins here in the top of the 5th inning. And Cincinnati trying for a win that would move them back into a tie for first place with St. Louis. The Cardinals lost today at home to the Chicago Cubs. And Ugla hits this one, and that's trouble. And it's gone. 3-2 the score now as Dan Ugla has connected on his 27th homer of the season.
Well, that one ran back over the plate on Mike Leake, and that was the one thing he was trying to stay away from. And when you've got somebody up there that's swinging for the downs on every pitch, as Ugla is, watch the baseball, runs right back to the heart of the plate, and that is good morning Vietnam.
His 148th career home run. So it is a one-run game.
See that elbow really jammed into the rib cage there, and that's what really allows him to get quick to the ball, but also finish high and finish long with the swing. You get quick to the ball, and as that ball, as you hit the baseball, you're lifting it and driving it at the same time.
So the Fish are on the board. Cody Ross looks at a strike. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
Those are the pitches with 2 outs that wake you up in the middle of the night. Think to yourself, what am I doing?
We pointed out this is a Florida team that's still got something to play for. They are 7.5 back in the wild card standings, 9.5 back in the National League East. And there's Edwin Rodriguez, the interim manager who took over when Freddie Gonzalez was let go earlier this season. Edwin had been managing their AAA team in New Orleans. Former major league player with the Yankees and the Padres.
You also look back at that ground ball to Phillips. If that ball had been one more step towards him, as this one is.
And what a scoop by Joey Votto. But the Marlins get on the board thanks to the 2-run homer from Dan Ugla. It is 3-2 Cincinnati with the lead after 4.5. And now it's time for the Fifth Third Bank hardest workers in the game.
Outside of team practice, how do you train so you keep yourself performing at a major league level?
Well, we're lucky we have a good training staff and strength and conditioning coach. I make a point to spend time with him probably 2 or 3 times a week. I get in my conditioning. I do stuff for my core. I lift upper body, lower body. We have all kinds of different exercises that not only keep you in good shape, but also are help you play well on the baseball field and help you stay healthy. So I make a point to get in as much work as I can, and then on top of that, I do as well as I can, getting my rest and eating well.
Fifth Third Bank, the things we do for dreams.
Of the Cincinnati Reds.
We roll to the bottom of the fifth inning here at Great American. It is 3-2. Reds ahead of the Marlins. Cincinnati scoring 3 in the bottom of the fourth. Florida getting their 2 in the top of the fifth thanks to a 2-run home run from that gentleman, all-star second baseman Dan Ugla.
This is the third time through the lineup for the Reds, and they've got 2, 3, and 4 coming to the plate. And I would imagine that the Reds have a chance to put some more on the board here.
The number 2 hitter being Chris Heisey, who is looking for his first base hit of the night.
West has not been nearly as crisp in the fourth inning as he was early.
His strong frame was the third, where after a double by Paul Yanish and a sacrifice and an error by Mike Leake, he struck out Phillips, Heisey, and Votto to quell the threat there in the third.
That first go round through the lineup, he was pretty dominant.
And Sean West now looking at a 3-ball no strike count against Chris Heisey.
You go back to the at bat from Roland to begin the fourth inning, and that's where things started to just kind of fall apart for him.
Ball 4 to Chris Heisey. The third walk issued by Sean West. So Heisey down to first base for the first time he's been on tonight. Joey Votto steps in, who is 1 for 2. We want to take this opportunity to wish a happy 80th birthday today to Dick Trout. Dick had plans to be here at the game but was unable to do so. So a happy 80th, Dick, a big, big Reds fan. Joey Votto looks at a strike. Single in the first inning for Votto. He extended his hit streak.
I've got to admit, I think Joey is looking for the breaking ball this go around. He saw 6 of them the last time.
And he pounds this to right field. Off the wall. Heisey moving to third. And runners will be at the corners as Joey Votto comes up with his second base hit of the night. Both of those have extended his hit streak to 6 games in a row.
Well, he took a fastball right down the middle, and here he gets a breaking ball, and I think he believes this ball is out of the ballpark. Look at this. This is a hanging breaking ball, exactly what Votto is looking for, and he hits it too hard. Ball comes off the wall like a rocket to the right fielder Stanton, so he ends up only getting a single on a pitch that he thought was into the second or third row of the seats. It's amazing that Votto can go to the plate and look for a certain pitch in that fashion and just flat out tattoo it.
He sure did.
I mean, he didn't miss that at all. The only thing he missed is hitting it higher. That was a rocket.
As Randy St. Clair went out to talk to Sean West, Burke Badenhop is getting his work in the Marlins bullpen. And Scott Rowland will step into the plate.
I would imagine that Edwin Rodriguez and pitching coach Randy St. Clair are seeing the same things that we are.
On the move, Votto. And he'll get a stolen base. So runners will be at second and third now.
What a break by Votto. That's what you call going on the first move. As soon as the pitcher moves, it doesn't matter if he twitches his eyelid, you steal. Watch West. As soon as he picks that knee up, gone. And Votto was at second base so fast there wasn't even a throw from Hayes behind home plate.
His 9th swipe of the year. Countdown 1-1 to Scott Rowland.
So even though Votto was cheated by the double because he hit the ball too hard, he stole it. Stole it back. Stole back his double.
Stole back his double. I like that. Scott Rowland tonight a strikeout and a walk and came around to score in that 3-run 4th inning for the Reds. Works the count to 2-1.
This is the benefit of the not swinging at the very first pitch that you see early in the ball game. You see some pitches early. By the time you get up there for your 3rd at bat, you know exactly what the guy's coming with.
2-1 pitch. Rowland left field, base hit. 1 run will come in. Votto, the second runner, will dash to the plate with a throw coming in, and out is Joey Votto. On a throw by Logan Morrison to Hayes, the catcher.
Now that is about as good of a cutoff and relay as you can do right there, my friends. Morrison gets the baseball. He gets it in a hurry to the better arm, which is Hanley Ramirez. And Ramirez gets the baseball and he fires it plateward. Watch Logan Morrison come up with this ball. He throws it right to the head of Ramirez. Ramirez, the cutoff and the nail at home plate. Oh, that's the only way you're going to get Votto is 2 perfect throws.
Very similar to the play in which Scott Rowland scored the first run of the game last night. But the Reds' lead has now grown to 4-2, and that's going to be the end of the night for the starting pitcher for the Marlins, Sean West. 4-2, Cincinnati leading. Bottom of the 5th, our Skyline call to the bullpen is made, and we'll be right back. Fifth to take a 4-2 lead. So the lefty West is out, and the relief corps calls on Burke Badenhop.
Badenhop got his first save, first career save, I should say, on April 14th against the Reds. And he threw the ball very well in his 2 innings of work there. You see the numbers. Things have not been exactly perfect for the young man, but he's got bees a-buzzing with bats flying everywhere right now.
And he comes in a little tight on Johnny Gomes. Scott Rowland with a base hit and an RBI moves to second on the throw that cuts down at the plate. Joey Votto, Chris Heisey scored before that.
That makes this at bat awfully big here for Johnny Gomes.
With 1 out, and Gomes grounds it right at Helms at third. 2 are gone. Holding at second base is Scott Rowland. Hey, Reds fans, for great food with family and friends this summer, Think JTM, Food Family Fun, JTM. Welcome to Great American Ballpark here in Cincinnati, the second of a three-game weekend series with the Reds and the Marlins. Paul Keels, Jeff Brantley, along with Jim Day and Jeff Picoro, and all the other fine folks that work on the field, in the trucks, and in the booth to bring you Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Drew Stubbs, the two-out batter, with rolling out at second base. Stubbs with a sacrifice fly for the first out of the fourth inning that advanced runners and continued to set the stage for what was a 3-run scoring frame for the Reds.
A walk started the fourth, and a walk started the runs here in the fifth.
Batenhop misses outside.
Batenhop has that short slider, a sinking fastball, and his biggest pitch against the Reds early in the season was a changeup. He threw it often in that first save, and you can see the grip there as he gets ready to pitch to Stubbs.
Big rip. Batenhop played collegiately at Bowling Green State University, just 2.5, 3 hours north of Cincinnati. Was picked by the Detroit Tigers in the 19th round of the 2005 draft. Tried to tempt him, but Drew Stubbs holds off.
Well, this is a play if Stubbs gets an infield ball and he's safe at first base, you can bet your bottom dollar Rolling to be coming around third full speed.
Down goes Stubbs on a swinging strikeout, but the Reds are able to score a run here in the bottom of the fifth. 4-2 Cincinnati leading Florida after 5.
League Eastern Division teams tonight and tomorrow against the Marlins. And tonight in our Meyer text poll question, we want to know, well, we're talking about that schedule. Sometimes it's a quirky schedule. Down the stretch of any season, your number one scheduling desire. 1, mostly play Central Division opponents, play all divisions evenly, be done with the Western time zone games, or have more chances against the Cardinals. Text 1, 2, 3, or 4 to 37664, 37664. Standard text message rates apply. One of the results coming up as Votto will squeeze the first out of the 6th inning. And guys, this team still has 3 trips left to the Western Division. 3 separate trips, 16 games out west. So that schedule, as far as the Reds go, we know that history out west would not favor Cincinnati. So fans, what would you like to see out there? Boys, back to you.
Well, let's see. You're talking about 3 series out to the west starting Tuesday. 3 at Arizona, L.A., and then San Francisco. Then the Reds will do the Labor Day weekend at St. Louis, followed by 4 in Denver against Colorado. And then on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of September, have to play at San Diego. Now look at no Western time zone games as that ball by Wes Helms is hit to deep left field. Gomes is at the wall, and that one is gone. Wes Helms has smacked his 4th homer of the year. 4-3 Reds lead. Well, the Marlins have used the long ball to get their offense both last night and tonight.
Well, both of the home runs have come on balls that were left in the middle of the plate. And you see where this pitch is, right in the heart of the strike zone. And when Mike Leake gets hit, that's usually where the balls are at, mid-thigh, middle of the plate.
So it is a 1-run game again. 4-3 Reds with a lead as Wes Helms takes it out of the yard to left field. And the text poll showing that folks would like to see him avoid the Western time zone. You know, Jeff, for the longest time, a lot of us, you as a player and a lot of us as fans, followed this game in the National League prior to the expansion when Colorado and Arizona and Florida were added to the National League, where pretty much the last month of the season you were playing against teams in your own. Back when it was 2 divisions, you were playing against teams in your own divisions.
Playing out west either way. I mean, before they split everything up, Atlanta, the Reds, I mean, we're all in the same division with San Francisco.
And Los Angeles and San Diego.
And San Diego.
While St. Louis was in the East, and first it looked like they were going to call hit by the pitch, but Phil Cuzzy says that ball was fouled into the mitt by Brett Hayes, the catcher, for an out. And immediately Edwin Rodriguez popped out of the dugout.
Well, what Hayes is saying is that the ball hit him. And what Cuzzy is saying is that he swung at it. And even if the ball does hit you, if you swing at it, you're out. And that's what Edwin Jackson is arguing about.
Yeah, let's eyeball it here.
That's where the bat ends up.
I don't know. Could you tell there?
I didn't think that he swung. But then again, I'm not umpiring. And I think what Cuzzy may have thought there is that the ball hit off the bat and went into the mitt. Yeah, but it was not close. Sometimes you're just going by sight, and if you don't see it, you're going by sound, and maybe the ball sounded that way. Either way, Hayes is the second out, and he's a strikeout victim.
That was an oddity. Hector Luna is now pinch hitting for Florida with 2 outs. Luna, a veteran who has been around. Fouls this ball. Had his contract called up from New Orleans at the end of July. Hector Luna did. Very little work at the major league level with the Marlins for Hector Luna.
And most likely the reason for the lack of work, he likes to swing at the breaking ball.
He swings at that one and goes down, but the Marlins put a tally up on the home run by Wes Helms. 4-3 Reds with a lead after 5.5. he's put down by Paul Yanush. Not an easy pitch, Cowboy, to try and get this ball on the ground.
This ball is cutting in. Look where his body was at the point that he made contact with the baseball. He basically had to bunt the ball as he was falling face first into the ground. As he made contact and was allowed to let go of the bat, his right hand went straight down into the dirt. So basically he bunted the ball, and then his hand goes to the dirt to keep his balance, and then he ran to first base. That's a heck of a lot of hand-eye coordination to perfection, I might add.
It's our Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. There is a look at Paul Yanush. And the Reds will have a new Florida pitcher to deal with in Jose Veras. As Edwin Rodriguez just keeps trotting him out of the bullpen.
And Veras' numbers not too bad. 18 ball games. He's had scoreless innings, 2-0 on the year, a 4.07 ERA. But the thing for Veras now is to keep the Reds off the board. That's what he'll try to do. And the Reds, of course, are trying to add on some insurance runs.
4-3 Cincinnati with a lead. Ramon Hernandez, who had an RBI single as part of that 3-run fourth inning. We'll start the inning off. Paul Yanush, whom we showed you, is in the on-deck circle, and then it will be the number 9 spot. Hernandez had his hitting streak snapped last night. Jumps right back and delivers with a key base hit tonight. Jose Veras. And Hernandez pops it to center. But in position, Cody Ross for the first out of the inning.
Well, he just did get underneath that baseball, as that looked like it was on time coming through the strike zone, and he hit the bottom of the ball instead of hitting it square. Straight over the top fastball, right down Broadway, and you can see the facial expression from Hernandez as he makes contact. A little frustration.
Veras, a 29-year-old from the Dominican Republic who is in his 12th professional season. He has earned paychecks from both the Yankees and the Indians previously. Goes to work on Paul Yanush. Suicide squeeze resulted in a run driven in for Paul Yanush, part of his night, and Veras works him inside.
That was one of the better suicide squeezes I've seen in a long time. A great time to put it on by Spire, I might add. But for the execution on Yanush's part,
especially where that ball was pitched to him. Ramirez on the move, guns Paul Yanush out with a second out of the inning. We've seen Hanley Ramirez flash some pretty good leather out there tonight.
It almost seems as though Ramirez going up the middle is not quite as sure glove-wise as he is when he goes to the backhand side. You can almost see him when he picks the ball going up the middle. He doesn't pull the ball up as fast as he does when he's going to the backhand side. It's almost, you see the scoop and the glove continues along the ground.
And he was fortunate that he kept his balance there on that ball as well. Juan Francisco, pinch hitting for the Reds. 1 for 3 and an RBI in 3 pinch hit appearances in the Cardinals series for the left-handed hitting third baseman. And that one thrown wide of Hayes. Sports fans, a reminder tomorrow, directly following the Reds Live postgame show. Stay tuned to FS Ohio and catch all of the action from the Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival Timken Grand Parade from Canton. It's a one-of-a-kind celebration, and you'll be able to relive the moments of that parade from last weekend in Canton. So Mike Leake's night is done. And Leake, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, 6 hits delivered by the Marlins.
And go ahead.
And then Mike Leake in line to get his 8th win.
Massett and Rhodes are in the bullpen throwing now. And I really thought that the kid threw a pretty good ball game tonight. He only made 2 mistakes, and they were pitches that he left in the heart of the plate, and they both went out of the ballpark. And I think as we go along, if he stays on this 5-day rotation, the more you're going to see him not make those mistakes.
Francisco now on a 3-1 count as he just about corkscrewed himself into the ground swinging at that last pitch.
Francisco, if he makes contact with the velocity of Veras, this baby's going a long way. Either that or it's going to tear somebody's glove off.
Ball 4. Fourth walk of the night issued by the combination of Florida pitchers. So back to the top of the order. And Brandon Phillips.
When you look at Mike Leake and you see what he was able to accomplish tonight, some pretty good progress from what we've seen over the last 3 starts. And I really believe if he can continue to get those starts in consecutive fashion every 5th day, he won't be making those mistakes like he made the 2 tonight. He'll stay away from the center of the plate.
Francisco draws the attention of Jose Veras. Brandon Phillips tonight looking for his first hit. (4-3) Reds with a lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And a called strike. We want to take this opportunity also to wish a happy birthday to Ruth Hartzell, a big Reds fan. Young lady who makes trips to spring training and out-of-town games whenever she can. Happy birthday, Ruth.
Looking for that right side.
That's what he was trying.
You got a runner at first base. You got a massive hole over on the right side of the infield. Ugla playing up the middle in case there is a ground ball up the middle. And you see all of this territory on this side. That's what Brandon Phillips is shooting for. And he can hit it there with the best of them.
0-2 the count.
Sanchez holding on the runner. Ramirez playing Phillips to pull. And so is Ugla for some reason. And Phillips' strength has been shooting the ball the other way.
And there's a lot of room between Ugla and Sanchez on that right side, as you can see.
With a left-hander, yes, I would say that's a good scouting report. Not with a right-hander.
Phillips down on strikes. 4-3. Reds with a lead over the Marlins after 6 full. Honda dealers. Visit myCincinnatiHondaDealer.com for current offers. And by Hollywood Casino. Nobody has to yell action here. It's Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg. And beautiful aerial shots like that Provided by DirecTV. Get every MLB game and the most in HD by calling 1-800-DirecTV.
I'm digging this blimp thing.
Oh, you are, aren't you? Some very nice views.
High flying shots. That's what I'm talking about.
4-3 lead for the Reds over the Marlins as we move to the top of the 7th inning here at Great American Ballpark. After a week of hot, steamy conditions for baseball games, the early evening rain cooled it off here tonight, but Arthur Rhodes trying to keep the Florida hitters cool.
Arthur Rhodes has been good from the get-go. Started out the season about as good as you could get. Had a 33 appearance streak broken that spanned 30 innings. Tied a major league record, and next day just kept right on going.
Starts with Hanley Ramirez. Arthur in his long career this year, 2010, will be a memorable one for him because he made it to the All-Star game.
That's right. 19 major league seasons, and he's finally an All-Star for the first time. Hadn't given up a run his last 9 times out.
Ramirez looks at a strike. He led off the game with a base hit in the first. Arthur came out Wednesday afternoon and warmed up in the 8th inning to face St. Louis, but then the game was stopped with a 46-minute rain delay. And when play was resumed, Dusty Baker made the decision they weren't going to put Arthur back out there. Ramirez with a shot to left center. Stubbs on this horse misses it at the wall. Ramirez at second base and a double, and it didn't miss going out by an awful lot.
Looked like a fastball middle away, and Hanley Ramirez was all over that one. Actually, it was down and in.
He did a good job to get his bat on that.
He hammered that ball.
So Logan Morrison, who has an infield base hit to his credit, will stand in there from the left side. Rhodes is not allowed a run in any of his last 9 appearances. 5 2/3 inning. So pretty much, Jeff, in the same vein of what you were talking about with that long 30-plus inning scoreless streak he had.
And you'd like to hope that tonight that continues, as the Reds are hanging on by their fingernails here to a 1-run lead.
1-1 the count to Logan Morrison. Fielder's choice in the first, a bounce out to Phillips in the third, and an infield base hit in the 5th. Marlins in this series 0 for 14 with runners in scoring position and 0 for 6 tonight. Have left 6 stranded, as have the Reds. 1-1 pitch. Now 2-1.
Good pitch.
Hernandez go out there to talk to Arthur Rhodes, and not uncommon, I guess, Jeff, when you have a pitcher in a situation Arthur was in on Wednesday. He's been in the bullpen throng. He comes out to warm up, and then before a pitch is thrown in the inning and the game stopped for a rain delay, you know, the guy 40 years old.
Well, you're not going to ask him to warm up and be totally ready to go, sit down for almost an hour, and then go back out and try to re-warm up. You don't do that.
3-1 to Morrison. And while we mentioned that Arthur is 40, Dusty Baker a lot of times will make mention of the fact that his arm is not 40. Tommy John surgery to recycle himself.
Well, his elbow may be feeling a lot better, but he's still got a shoulder that's got the same age, and Warren Morrison was heading down to first base.
Yes, he was.
And you don't do that when you're a rookie. Get that bat, son.
Live and learn.
Oh, had a little cut to it.
Yes, it did. So now a full count.
Every swinging.
And it's still full.
one thing that you really needed to have tonight was for Rhodes to get some work in, especially that coming into that ball game against St. Louis and then not pitching. You have to get work, regardless of whether it's a bunch of right-handers or left-handers or whatever.
All four that time. Morrison almost pulled the trigger, so 2 are on now. That's the 4th walk given up between the work of Arthur Rhodes as well as Mike Leake. And be a great American on Saturday, August 28th, as the Reds take on the Chicago Cubs. The first 20,000 fans in attendance will receive a reusable grocery bag thanks to Biz and Oxidol. Join the Reds for exciting baseball and the opportunity to go green with this great bag. Purchase your tickets today at 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Chris Beyer, the acting manager, goes out to the mound, and the Reds will make a pitching change. Arthur Rhodes will lead the ball game. Cincinnati has a 4-3 lead here in the top of the 7th as Nick Massett will come on. We'll be right back. Marlins game. You can be part of the broadcast by going to foxsportsohio.com and asking your questions, and we'll answer it on the air. It's the Fox Sports Ohio interactive game tomorrow at 1, brought to you by the Emmy Award-winning Fox Sports Ohio High School Football Game of the Week, which is sponsored by Grange Insurance. So if you've got some questions for the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, like where's his favorite fried chicken in Cincinnati, and how many soft drinks does he devour during the course of a game?
They're not called soft drinks. They're called Coke.
Nick Massett out of the bullpen on the mound.
60th appearance for the big right-hander. He's only given up 2 runs in his last 25 games.
And with 2 on, he'll go to work on Gabby Sanchez, who's over 1 with a couple of walks.
Reds will be looking for a double play and a strikeout. Double play here and a strikeout, or a strikeout and then a double play.
Either way. Nick Massett, many, of course, will remember back in 2008, was acquired by the Reds from the Chicago White Sox in 2008 for Ken Griffey Jr. The other player in that deal, Danny Richard, an infielder who played a little bit with the Reds after that trade, was in the Florida system at the beginning of the year. Don't know if he's still around there or not. He's not at the major league level with him. 1-1. Now 1-2.
Massett came on in the last ball game against the Cubs with the bases loaded and the Reds looking at a blown save in the face, and he was able to bail out Francisco Cordero by only allowing one run, and the Reds were able to hold on for a 1-run victory.
Ball 2. So says Phil Cousin. What say you?
Tries to run that baby inside, and he gets a little bit to the side of the baseball, and the ball runs a little bit too far in.
Count 2-2. Right at Phillips. To Giannis for 2. That'll be the 13th time this year, if it even counts that way, that Sanchez has hit into a double play.
Well, that was not exactly the double play that I had designed when I was talking about that earlier.
But you'll gladly take it.
But I'm sure that Massett will take it, as will the Reds, as it puts 2 outs on the board and it erases the gentleman at second base.
Hanley Ramirez, that gentleman. Logan Morrison remains down at first. Dan Uggla, the 2-out batter. 1 for 2 with a walk and his 27th home run of the season, which came in the 5th inning with a runner on. One-run lead for the Reds here in the top of the 7th. Bassett with his connections to the Marlins home state. He graduated from Pinellas Park High School in St. Petersburg, Florida. And played 1 season of college ball at St. Petersburg Junior College.
I just don't think Uggla can handle the fastball from Massett if he really cuts it loose. Right now he's throwing, that's his 3rd consecutive breaking ball, a curveball and 2 sliders.
That is who is next, Cody Ross. Massett in need of a strike. He's followed Arthur Rhodes, who followed Mike Leake. All 4. The 5th walk given up by Reds pitchers tonight.
Evidently, this is the guy that Massett wanted to face after Uggla hit the ball out of the ballpark. The man that's 0 for 3 is Cody Ross.
And one of those outs, a strikeout that ended the 3rd inning for the Marlins. 4-3 Redlegs on top. Working Ross on the inside.
Well, I think for Hernandez, he wanted to at least have Massett throw 1 pitch on that side of the plate before going back away again. He has missed badly away on the pitches to Uggla.
Misses that time.
This is where Massett gets himself into trouble, trying to be too perfect with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. You do not have to be perfect.
Morrison at second, Uggla at first. 2 are down. Marlins are in the midst of a 10-game road trip. They came here from Washington. From here, they will go to Pittsburgh. Two and 1 with 2 outs and 2 on. Nick Massett. And he's got the count even now on Cody Ross.
See, that's the thing that Massett has got to realize. When you throw 96 from the angle that he throws it from and still have that good hard movement late, not too many hitters that can catch up with the ball inside ever.
Morrison and Uggla the base runners. Ross the batter. And Massett on the mound. And Ross doing a good job staying alive.
Curveball right there from Massett. Went in early. You can see that #1 pitch as he shot it back in here. Went away, and now he's staying down and away. And that's one of the things that Hernandez and Massett are talking about right now. You don't want to go to 3-2 and allow the runners to be on the move with the pitch, just in case the kid Ross flares one in. You want to make the action right now, whether it's a out or not.
There are 2 outs right now. To center, Stubbs chasing, got it. 4-3, Reds with a lead after 6.5. Resort and Spa. This special 2-day golf event, hosted by Hall of Fame broadcaster Marty Brenneman, includes celebrity guests, dinner, and a concert. Proceeds benefit the Reds Community Fund. Reserve your spot today. Call 513-765-7240 or visit reds.com/MartyGolf.
Nothing like it.
A fun event. There's the Hall of Famer, Marty Brenneman. A fixture in Reds baseball ever since 1974.
Yes, sir.
And there's Jim Kelch working alongside of him. The Reds with a 4-3 lead over the Marlins as we move to the bottom of the 7th inning.
Veras continuing to fire that fastball in there. 2, 3, and 4 for the Reds.
2 being Chris Heisey, 3 being Joey Votto, 4 being Scott Rowland. Big cut and a miss by Heisey, who's been on base once with a walk in the 5th inning. And Chris Heisey was first called up from Louisville. It was to replace Chris Dickerson when he suffered his hand injury. Joined the team in St. Louis after that transaction was made when Chris got hurt in Houston. And has been here ever since.
It is all up to you as an individual once you get that opportunity in the big leagues. Some kids don't get it at all. But if you have that opportunity to play here, you make your statement right away, and Heisey has done that.
He sure has. Good eye as he looks at that pitch from Jose Veras. Count is even at 2-2.
You never want to be the guy that said, well, I got the chance, but I blew it and I never got called back up.
There's just a few of those, aren't there?
A few 100,000.
Yes. Jose Veras and Chris Heisey. Count runs full.
Veras had him in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. And you can see Veras getting a little bit frustrated out there as he overthrew that last fastball. 96-mile-an-hour heater down in the dirt away.
The minor league player of the year in the Reds organization last year, Chris Heisey, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Ball 4, second straight walk he's received from Florida pitchers.
Another quality at bat by one of the Reds to lead off the inning here. Heisey led off the 5th with the same type of at bat. Ended up walking and coming around to score what is now the 4th run, the lead run in this ball game.
Joey Votto, couple of singles, has extended his hitting streak to 6 games with that work tonight. Reds with a 1-run lead, looking to try and add on, and a check swing. Helms will track it down. Goes Votto out, moving to second as Heisey.
It's amazing how Votto comes to the plate. You can see him staring out to the positions that were vacated on the left side. Helms was playing way off the bag. Up the middle was Ramirez, and he ends up being just a little bit too aggressive there. He got the bat head out just a tad too soon. Couldn't check his swing. Otherwise, he was going to try to shoot that ball down the third baseline.
Scott Rowland, who tonight has an RBI single, a walk and a strikeout.
But you know, Paul, even though Votto had a missed swing there and, you know, tapping the ball into the infield, it still performs the same issue as if you would have put down a bunt and moved the runner to second base. You've got him in scoring position for your 4-hole hitter.
Rowland looking at a strike, a productive out, would you call it?
That's what I would say.
Right.
All of us would like to see Joey hit the ball down the left field line for a double and have runners at second and third. It just doesn't always work out that way. But you've got a chance for an insurance run here with a couple of batters.
Now 1-1. Jose Veras had his contract selected on June 25th by the Marlins. Been out at their AAA team in New Orleans. And whoa, Hayes hangs on to it.
Man, somebody put his shoulder back in the socket. That left shoulder reaching for that ball. Wow. It's a heck of a stop by the kid behind the plate.
I mentioned last night when Ronnie Paulino was out there that Edwin Rodriguez has been concerned about Paulino going through a little fatigue here in the second half of the season. So Brett Hayes is probably going to get more and more work. Win after that one.
That was a hanging breaking ball, a good hanging breaking ball.
He wanted that.
The ones that start inside and just kind of drift over the middle of the plate, as a hitter, that's the one you want. Because you see it as a strike all the way. You start to swing, and then it just moves right to the head of the bat. Veras got away with one there.
2-2. Now 3-2.
Well, he cannot locate the fastball to save his life right now.
No, he can't, Joe.
And a lot of that is because he's overthrowing the fastball. He's trying to throw it too hard, holding on to the baseball too long, and he's missing about a foot outside.
There's a peek at who's next. Johnny Gomes. Veras ready for the payoff pitch to Rowland. Bounced right back to Veras. He's going to make sure Heisey stays at second. Rowland down to second. So Johnny Gomes will come to the plate looking for his first base hit of the night.
2 check swings for Veras, awfully fortunate. That's what throwing 96 makes you do. You got to start the bat head a little bit earlier than you do with somebody throwing 88 or 89. And Roland starts and can't get the bat out of the way.
Barris signed all the way back in 1998 as a free agent by Tampa Bay. Then signed in 2004 with Texas.
He is what I would describe as effectively wild from day one.
Really? So that's why he's been all around.
You got it.
Hey, we can fix him.
First pitch to Gomes is out of the strike zone.
Throws 96. Come on, let's sign him. We'll fix his mechanics, and then we'll have a 96-mile-an-hour right arm that can close games for us.
Here's where Johnny Gomes ranks in the National League with 2 outs and ducks on the pond.
For the longest time early in the season, Gomes ruled that list.
Yes, he did. 37,445 the attendance tonight. Is that right? 37,000? Yeah.
Billy.
Gomes puts this one in the air where Gabby Sanchez wanders to foul ground, and that'll take care of the Reds here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 4-3 Cincinnati. Know what he can do in the field. A sacrifice squeeze bunt. Maybe most impressive because of where he had to try and get that ball away from his body.
That's as good as it gets when you talk about bat control and hand-eye coordination on a cut fastball headed for your back knee, and you're able to get the bat to it and not only get the bunt down but get it down in perfect position.
He has started and played every inning of every game since Orlando Cabrera went on the disabled list almost 2 weeks ago back in Pittsburgh. Orlando, by the way, down in the clubhouse, apparently he's been trying to work in that oblique muscle to get himself together, and just overheard him talking with some of the newspaper guys say he feels fine. Mike Stanton to lead off the top of the 8th for Florida.
I talked to him too, and he said that he doesn't feel it anymore. But the problem with an oblique or an intercostal strain inside the rib cage, you've got to give it plenty of time to heal. The last thing you want to do is come back and have it happen again.
Mike Stanton goes down on strikes for the first out of the inning.
How about this breaking ball? This is what you call a 12-6 yellow hammer. Starts about belt high and then just drops off the table. That's baseball terminology there.
I'll tell you what, it is amazing to sit here with both you and Chris Welsh and hear the same terms and how they apply in the same places. Sitting around 2 former pitchers. It's not surprising. Excuse me. Wes Helms, the one-out batter.
Bless you, my friend.
Thank you. Helms hit his 4th home run of the year in his last at-bat in the 6th inning.
Got him a pitch that ran back over middle in for him. It's going to be a little bit more difficult here with a fastball coming in at 96 instead of 90 or 89.
Massett followed Rhodes, who followed Mike Leake. If the Reds can hang on to this thing, that'll get Mike Leake back on the right side of the ledger.
I was very happy with the way he threw the ball today. I think he's going to get even better.
Helms frozen by that strike. Mark Wagner pulling up the Encyclopedia Britannica definition of yellowhammer.
Has he got one in there for the Louisiana breakdown? Because that's what that was. That one started in Memphis and ended up in New Orleans.
And Helms has gone on it. Yellowhammer, sharp breaking curveball, supposedly named after the yellowhammer bird. So the strikeout completed on the throw by Hernandez to first base. Nick Massett trying to get the Marlins retired here in the top of the 8th. Brett Hayes
struck out on a foul ball off of his quadricep last time up.
Oh yeah, that was the one where he was arguing that he might have been hit by a pitch.
Well, he was hit. Didn't matter though.
He was trying to get the base and couldn't get it. We will be with you tomorrow afternoon. The Reds finish this series with the Marlins. First pitch 1:10, 12:30. Reds live with the boys. Homer Bailey and Anibal Sanchez will be the starters. And then the Reds will hit the road. They will be gone until Friday, the 27th of August, when the Cubs come in. So it'll be your last chance to see them. Come on down and enjoy them. Two 2-0 is the count. To the Florida catcher. Stubbs wandering to the gap. Side retired, 4-3. Reds still up by 1. Social media clubhouse at Reds.com. Stay connected through Reds fan blogs or write your own. Join the online forum. Sign up for text updates and find out about upcoming chats with your favorite players. Plus, follow Reds like Mike Leake on Twitter. Log on to Reds.com/connect to get started today. 4-3, Reds with the lead over the Marlins. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning here at Great American Ballpark. Got some changes that have been put in play for the Florida Marlins. Clay Hensley, the start of that as he takes over on the mound.
Hensley started last year in AAA Round Rock before signing with Florida as a minor league free agent. Round Rock was in the Houston organization. Went to AAA New Orleans, where he was starting 8-4 with a 3.24 earned run average, and now he's pitching out of the bullpen and doing quite well for the Marlins.
Drew Stubbs to lead off the 8th for the Reds. He starts to show buck. Emilio Bonifacio, as you saw, has taken over at third base. He will bat in the number 9 spot. Stubbs fouling that off from Hensley. Drew Stubbs tonight, a sac fly has been the positive part of his night. That one left field deep, gone, see ya, bye, home run. Number 15 for Drew Stubbs.
Every once in a while, he'll show you a little something. And by George, that baby got out of here as soon as he left the bat. My goodness. Boy, the talent that this kid possesses is unmeasurable. Wow.
Now a 2-run lead for the Reds.
You almost fell out of your chair, partner.
Hernandez will ground this to Ramirez at short. First out. The smoke hasn't even cleared. And this is why it got people up off the edge of their seat.
I mean, that baby had a trajectory of a rocket ship. He almost hit himself on the scoreboard up there. Ouch.
That was an impressive shot by Drew Stubbs. Home run number 15, RBI number 54. Paul Janisch will be the one-out batter. We showed you that sac fly that Paul Janisch had, or excuse me, suicide squeeze bunt that he had earlier. It brought in a run. Center field, Cody Ross. 2 gone. And Jay Bruce will come on to pinch hit in the pitcher spot. Hit his 11th homer of the season last night, Jay Bruce.
Boy, did he ever. That was a blast also. Dead center field, right into the batter's eye.
So the young man from Beaumont, Texas. And what this means is he has appeared in all but one game, small parts or big parts, throughout the season. 5-3 Reds with the lead thanks to Drew Stubbs' home run. Jay Bruce last night 2 for 4 and 3 RBIs. Clay Hensley having trouble finding the strike zone.
I'd be shook up too if somebody hit a ball that far off me. That would strain your neck. Turn around that fast.
Or do you even turn and look?
Well, you turn. You got to turn so you know whether your friends are telling you the truth or not. Man, do you see how far they hit that ball off you? Golly.
Nah, it wasn't really that far. 3-1 the count to Jay Bruce from Clay Hensley. Right back to the pitcher. And that'll end the inning. But Drew Stubbs with a long home run gives the Reds another run. 5-3. The Reds with a lead on home run number 15 from Stubbs. Giannis with a nice play in the hole, showing off his arm. Our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. Get every MLB game with the most in HD. Call 1-800-DirecTV. 5-3 Reds with a lead over the Marlins. Top of the 9th inning. On comes Francisco Cordero for the Reds. There's Drew Stubbs, who belted that mammoth home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. His 15th of the year into the second deck. In left field, there are the numbers for Cordero.
You're looking for save number 31.
Emilio Bonifacio, who entered as a defensive replacement, will lead off the inning.
Where was that pitch?
Bonifacio with a double last night in the 9th inning as a pinch hitter. And where was that one? Chris Heisey moves to left field as pinch hitter Jay Bruce remains in the game, and he's in right field for the Reds. 5-3 is the score, favor the home team. Bonifacio ahead in the count, 3-0. There's a strike from Cordero.
Well, you had to know that the crowd reaction was coming after the tough outing in Chicago. Hopefully Cordero can get it back together and get things moving back in the positive direction.
And gets a strike there to run the count full.
Sometimes it only takes one pitch or one out. You got the fans right back on your side.
Appeared once, Cordero did, in the St. Louis series. Walk to Bonifacio. So a runner on board for the Marlins here in the top of the 9th inning. After every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio breaks down the game and talks to the stars of the game, and I am the manager on Reds Live. Brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. That's the 6th walk of the night given up by the combination of Reds pitchers. Back to the top of the order, and Hanley Ramirez for Florida.
Does not get any easier.
No. Ramirez a double and a single, part of his night. In his 4 previous at-bats, a ground out and a strikeout. Cordero appeared in the Reds' 6-1 loss to St. Louis on the 11th.
You got to watch Bonifacio here too, because he can flat run.
Bono holding it on. And Ramirez behind a couple of strikes.
Back-to-back breaking balls from Cordero. One for a strike, one for a swing and foul ball there. Looked like Ramirez was way out in front of that one.
Here's what Henley has done against Cordero in his career. 0-2. Cordero paying attention to Bonifacio. That familiar pose, bent over, right hand hanging down at the side. 0-2 pitch right up the middle of the base hit. And Bonifacio flying right on to third. Third hit of the night for Hanley Ramirez.
Now you got trouble. Breaking ball. It's outside, and he hits it off the end of the bat. That's why the ball stops before Stubbs can get to it. And it ends up being the best case scenario for the Marlins, because it allows Bonifacio to go all the way to third base on a ball that, had he hit it on the nose, he would have had to stop at second.
So the plot thickens with Logan Morrison at the plate. Ball one. Cordero trying to preserve a 2-run lead here in the top of the ninth. 5-3 Reds. Acting manager Chris Beyer. This will be the last of the 2-game suspension for Dusty Baker. He'll be in his usual spot tomorrow afternoon. 3-0.
Somebody is getting up in the bullpen. I believe that is Bill. Does that look like Bray? Can't quite tell.
3-0 pitch. All 4 has loaded him up. Second walk Cordero has issued here in the inning. So the bases are full of fish.
Well, obviously Cordero does not think those pitches are balls. He thinks they're strikes, but those pitches are out of the strike zone.
You see Jordan Smith getting loose quickly out in the bullpen.
And that may be half of the issue, is your sight line as far as going to home plate. You're thinking that pitches are strikes, and they're not. But now you really got to bear down.
Visit by Brian Price, the pitching coach. Nobody out. Gabby Sanchez will be the batter. 2 walks hit by a pitch and a fly ball to the outfield. And Edwin Rodriguez watching his team trying to rally from 2 down.
And the tough guy at the plate to strike out right now.
Rolling. Phillips. Votto. 2 down. Run in.
Well, this shows you how big the home run by Drew Stubbs is. It allows you to play back and not have to play in to cut down the run at home plate. You get the double play, and now you're 1 out away from winning this baby.
By 1 run. Well, how about the work of those infielders?
Well, we talked about the double play before the ball game, that they had to make it when it came down to tough times, and they got it done right there.
Dan Ugla. Pop fly. Will there be room for Joey Votto? Reds get it by a run on the foul fly from Dan Uggla. Not without some tense moments. 5-4. Reds beat the Marlins to move into a tie with St. Louis for the lead in the National League Central.
Closing ball games is never easy, my friend, especially when the folks at home know that you're having difficulty throwing strikes. You could hear the chants in the stands, but Cordero ends up getting the job done. He may have bent a little bit, but he did not break, and he got the double play when the Reds had to have it.
And as you said, Jeff, a key home run from Drew Stubbs to give the Reds what ended up being the deciding run at 5-4. The Reds beat the Marlins for their second win in a row, and it allows the Reds to move into a tie for first place with St. Louis in the National League Central. 5-4, Reds with a win over Florida. We'll be right back.